Welcome, and so glad you're here. A small quote from Gandhi to keep in mind is to be the change you wish to see in the world. Today's topic is the electromagnetic spectrum. It is an overview. I did two others, and I spoke about the greenhouse effect and the misnomer of it. It requires a great deal of understanding to understand it, and we discussed states of matter. The links will be below. Now, I wanted you to understand the concept generally, and it's much more in-depth. Physicists and other scientists have studied it in depth. But what it has to do with is the energy on Earth, heat, and how the Earth interacts with it. And one of the first things I'd like to show you is that electrical energy is invisible. And you can't normally see it with your five senses: hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Unless, now this is the key, unless there's some kind of reaction. For example, when lightning strikes, you might even smell the scorched smell of the electrical reaction, or you might see the light in the sky, and that due to the electrons and the negative and positive electrical charges, or the reactions. So there are light waves, and there are alternating electrical and magnetic waves that cause the electrical charges. And I wanted to probably do something a little bit more in depth on that and talk about the different details. But for now, what you need to know is there are different types of waves, and there's microwaves, and then radio, TV, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Okay. Now there's waves and particle theory, and there's a great deal of spectrum analysis on it. You probably are very familiar with the waves of the radio waves and what happens when you get a wireless internet connection. It wouldn't be possible without these electromagnetic waves, and it travels through the air. It can travel through water, but how they calculate this and the scientists do this is something more in depth. But I wanted to talk to you about how, now this is the, oh, these are lava flows on Venus. Okay, never mind. So you've got this whole big spectrum, and this is the light spectrum, the visible lights. And ultraviolet light, the sun, remember from the last video we talked about the sun and the earth and the different layers of energy, and also I did one on states of matter. X-rays are also molecules within the electromagnetic spectrum, where, you know, a dentist will X-ray your teeth, and you'll be able to refer back to this. I'll give you the link. And so let's look at what NASA shows about the magnetic fields. Okay? It's it can get very technical, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the links depending on what level in school you're at, and you can go do your own research at your level. This is the Earth's magnetic field, and it's part of the electromagnetic energies that are on the Earth. And you know about the North Pole and the South Pole, and how a magnet will take an object and pull it toward it. And you know about gravity. I'm assuming you know this. If you don't, you could probably go look at the links and study it more in depth on your own. I just wanted to explain that it's like sort of like an invisible field, except for the light spectrum of, did I show you? I wanted to show you the sun, and so from the other one that all life on Earth is possible through the sun, and that the sun emits some forms of electromagnetic energy. Now, there's an interaction as well, but we're going to go quickly look at this link on electromagnetic energy and the sun, because the sun influences the Earth a great deal. And all these links will be below, but here's a really nice graphic courtesy of the SOHO Consortium, and it is a solar and heliospheric observatory, and it's a project of the international cooperation between the European Space Agency and NASA. Now, here's another nice graphic of how the waves are with the wave theory, and how the light spectrum is this is the visible light, and the links will be below. And there's different, you've heard of the Aurora Borealis? Let's look that up real quick. I don't know if I'm going to put this link in here. Aurora. I don't know if I spelled that right. See, here's a picture of it. Isn't that pretty? Sometimes they call these the northern lights. But this is, this all has to do with the Earth's axis, and the sun, the moon, the gravity, and it says they're seen from space. Wait, I'm not going to do this because this is commercial. Actually, well, no, wait. I'm not going to go here because there might be something. Okay, sorry about that. I'm just doing this kind of impromptu, but I wanted to show you that there's this sort of, it almost could be considered kind of imaginary, but there's like a center of gravity, and then there's an angle of the Earth. And with all that, it affects how the interaction of the sun. Now, the sun is separate, obviously, from the Earth, and the sun has weather going on in it, and the sun is made up, I believe, mostly of, it's really, really hot, and it has its own solar storms, I don't know. I'm just gonna, no, that's not right. Okay, sun, it's hydrogen, well, let me just do sun and see if there's anything in here to explain it. Okay, so the sun has hot plasma. It's really, really hot. And it has a magnetic field, and it's a dynamic process that's going on there. And the sunspots and solar flares that happen on it, like, see how the stuff is emitting from it? You can see it visibly. And this is not what, this is how it looks with space equipment, with special cameras that go out in space. But from a distance, it just looks, yellow and course, we're in the solar system. But the electromagnetic spectrum is not just visible light, but it's also a whole list of fields of energy. Now, electricity or electrons, as we discussed in the last one, are they're tiny particles, and everybody and everything has them in them. They're in atoms, and there's a negative and positive charge. So the energy will build up, and you can sometimes see things within the light spectrum, but you're not going to see, there's going to be a lot of things you're not going to see with the naked eye, unless there's some kind of chemical reaction. So I'm going to put these links below, and there's more in here than just what I talked about, but I wanted to give you a feel for what we're talking about in other subjects, and to understand that there's a dynamic thing going on, and the Earth is part of there's a magnetic field on the Earth and electrical currents. There's different things that go on, the convection and the dino effect. But there's also been pole shifts or magnetic field reversals, and geologists can tell us through looking at the crust and the rocks and iron and different things in it, how the patterns differ. The scientists have a special way of doing that. And so all of the different things are interrelated. There's the subatomic level, and it's all kind of connected, but the electricity is a good thing. It can help us. At the same time, it can be very dangerous. So the electromagnetic spectrum is visible and invisible, and it's a wide range from gamma rays, X-rays, you name it. Let's see if we can get you a good graphic. I'm not sure if this is the right one. Okay, this is actually a pretty good one. There's also a nice article by a astronomer, a Dr. Crockett, I believe. I wanted to show you his article. I am going to post the link below. I'm not going to discuss it too in depth. I'm just going to show you the article. Where's Dr. Crockett's article? Here's Dr. Crockett's article. I believe this is it. Okay, I think this is his article on what is the electromagnetic spectrum that Dr. Crockett wrote. Excuse me. And it has a really nice description if you want to go into more in depth about it. Here he shows the light spectrum, the visible light spectrum. He goes into detail about the different waves. Now there's different frequencies, temperatures, and there's a lot of physics involved in this too. But I wanted you to know that it's a you can really study these subjects in depth, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. But I just wanted to say to you all that I'm really glad that you're here. I could not have this channel without you, and I hope that you learned something, and even if you didn't, there's links here for more in-depth information. So as always, thank you. I wish you well in all your endeavors. Namaste. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks, and have a great day.